Hi, everybody. This is Allison from Ellie Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And if you get anything from my work, I'll connect on an epiphany and mind explosion. A new book to read, a new author to explore. Please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description. Another way you can help me, Allylatcreations211.com. I know the light's like really in the way. Pyramids, commissioned drawings. I draw paintings, lots of different types of pyramids. I got a whole plethora of stuff on there. So if you're interested, including candles, they smell really good with gems. Um, check that out. That link is also on YouTube. I'm relatively cheap and everything is done via email. So email me if you're interested in anything because I usually will work with people financially. Another way to support my channel is channel memberships. There's only one tier, and there's a reason for that. It's just to keep the channel going. And this month, I'm running a raffle for this lovely pyramid. The entry is $5. The drawing will be January 3rd on my Friday Night Live. So make sure you check the community tab on this channel so that you can get more information. And, if you have any questions, email me. I'm more than happy to help you. So channel members get a free entry into the raffle. Free. So that's a little bonus perk I'm giving to my channel members. Next paint and sip, I might do this one live on Thursday afternoon. I am not sure on the time because I don't know what I'm doing for Christmas just yet. But I'm probably gonna go live for this for everybody to do it. All you need is acrylics, any color you want, because you can make your gnome any color you want. Um, Canvas, or if you want to do a drawing with color pencils, that's cat hair. Um, whatever you want. It's just flying. I'm gonna do a members only Zoom. I still have to get everybody who's interested, and if not, I'll just do a video just for them for something else. I'm also gonna do a craft and sip that might come over the weekend. I don't know when, maybe Sunday night. I don't know. Everybody goes back to work. I'm off for 2 weeks, so I'm just trying to figure this out. But I'm going to do a few of these. I'm going to put them online, on video. My channel memberships will get some perks. Next month, I'm thinking about doing a member only oracle card reading. So we'll see. Still figuring out how everything goes on, and I just want to thank everybody for supporting me. And this is going to be a rough 2 months with not having 2 weeks worth of pay out of my check. So on anything and anything helps. Blavatsky. This is going to be part 2 of stanza 7. Yeah, I have 1,001 notes all over here. I gotta clean my desk. Um, so I finally found where I left off from the last video. So here we go. How did the Manasa, the sons of wisdom, act? They rejected the self-born, the boneless. They are not ready. They spurned the first sweat-born. They are not quite ready. They would not enter the first. egg-born. To a theist or Christian, these verses would suggest a rather theological idea, that of the fall of the angels through pride. In the Secret Doctrine, however, the reasons for the refusal to incarnate in half-ready physical bodies seem to be more connected with physiological than metaphysical reasons. Not all the organisms were sufficiently ready. The incarnating powers chose the ripest fruits and spurned the rest. By a curious coincidence, when selecting a familiar name for the continent on which the first androgenes, the third root race, separated, the writer chose a geographical consideration, that of Lemuria, invented by Mr. P. L. Sclater. It is only later that reading Haeckel's Pedigree of Men, it was found that the German animalist had chosen the name for his later continent. He traces properly enough the center of human evolution to Lemuria, but with a slight scientific variation, speaking of it as the cradle of mankind. He pictures the gradual transformation of the anthropod mammal into the primeval savage. Vogt again holds that in America, man sprang from a branch of the Flat Rhine apes, independently of the origination of the African and Asian root stocks from the old world Carhanians, anthropod. Sorry, guys, my eyesight's very blurry and I don't know what to do. I don't have glasses. So sorry about that. Anthropologists are, as usual, at loggerheads on this question, as on many others. We shall examine this claim in the light of esoteric philosophy in stanza 8. Meanwhile, let us give a few moments of attention to the various constructive modes of procreation according to the laws of evolution. Let us begin by the mode of reproduction of the later sub-races of the third human race, by those who found themselves endowed with the sacred fire from the spark of higher and then independent beings, who were the psychic and spiritual parents of man, as the lower Pitar Deva, the Pitris, were the progenitors of his physical body. That third and holy race consisted of men who, at their zenith, were described as towering giants of godly strength and beauty, and the depositories of all the mysteries of heaven and earth. Have they likewise fallen? If then incarnated was the fall. Of this presently, the only thing now to be noted of these is that the chief gods and heroes of the fourth and fifth races, as of later antiquity, are the defied images of these men of the third. The days of their physiological purity and those of their so-called fall have equally survived in the hearts and memories of their descendants. Hence, the dual nature shown in these gods, both virtue and sin, being exalted to their highest degree in the biographies composed by Prosperity. They were the pre-Adamite and the divine race, with which even theology, in whose sight they are all the accused Canaanite race, now begins to busy itself. But the action of spiritual progenitors of that race has first to be disposed of. A very, very difficult and abstruse point has to be explained with regard to stanzas 26 and 7. These say, when the sweat-born produced the egg-born, the twofold androgyny third race, with the mighty, the powerful with bones, the lords of wisdom said, now shall we create. Why now and why not later? And why not earlier? This, the following sloka explains. Then the third race became the Vahan, vehicle of the lords of wisdom. It created sons of will and yoga by Blavatsky, not getting that out. It created them, the holy fathers, ancestors of the Arhats. How did they create, since the Lords of Wisdom are identical with the Hindu devas who refuse to create? Clearly, they are Kumdras of the Hindu pantheon and Puranas, whose elder sons of Brahma, Sananda, and the other sons of Vedas, who previously created by him without desire or passion, remain chaste, full of holy wisdom and undesirous of progeny. The power by which they first created is just that which has since caused them to be degraded from their high status to the position of evil spirits of Satan and his hosts, created in their turn by the unclean fancy of exoteric creeds. It was by Kriyasti, I'm not getting that name out, sorry, that mysterious and divine power latent in the will of every man, and which, if not called to life, quickened and developed by yogi training, remains dormant in 999. 999,999. My brain can't compute the wording for that. Sorry. Men out of the million and get atrophied. This power is explained in the 12 signs of the zodiac as follows. I'm going to pause right there. Yes, I know how to say the word. 999,999. Yeah, my brain does this like swap-a-roo of wording when I see numbers. That's why I'm not in retail, even though I have to be at some point, because holy crap, can't make shit. My brain doesn't process stuff like that, so I do apologize. I'm also not able to see things clearly, so I don't know what's going on with me. Lots of downloads. We had a X, close to an X flare hit today, and wonky doo. Back to the book. Sorry. That K word name, can't say it. The mysterious power of thought, which enables it to produce external, perceivable, phenomenal results by its own inherent energy. The ancients held that any idea will manifest itself externally if one's attention and will is deeply concentrated upon it. Similarly, an intense volation will be followed by the desired result. A yogi generally performs his wonders by means of willpower and kriyasti. The third race had thus created the so-called sons of will and yoga, or the ancestors, the spiritual forefathers of all the subsequent and present arhats, or mahatmas, in a truly immaculate way. They were indeed created and not begotten, as were their brethren of the fourth race, who were generated sexually after the separation of sexes, the fall of man. For creation is but the result of will acting on phenomenal matter, the calling forth out of its primordial divine light and eternal life. They were the holy seed grain of the future saviors of humanity. Here we have to make again a break in order to explain certain difficult points, of which there are so many. It is almost impossible to avoid such interruptions, for explanations and philosophical account of the nature of those beings which are now viewed as evil and rebellious spirits, the creators by Kriyasti. The reader is referred to the chapters on the fallen angels and the mystic dragons in part 2 of this volume. The order of the evolution of the human races stands thus in the 5th book of the Commentaries, and was already given. The first men were Shayas, the second sweatborn, the third eggborn, and the Holy Fathers born by the power of Kriyasti. The fourth were the children of the Padmapani Of course, such primeval modes of procreation by the evolution of one single image through drops of perspiration, after that by yoga, and then by what people will regard as magic, are doomed beforehand to be regarded as fairy tales. Nevertheless, beginning with the first and ending with the last, there is really nothing miraculous in them, nor anything which could not be shown natural. This will be proven. Shaya birth, or that primeval mode of sexless procreation, the first race having oozed out, so to say, from the bodies of the Pitris, is hinted at in some cosmic allegory in the Puranas. It is the beautiful allegory and story of Sanjanya, the daughter of, I'm going to do my best here, Viswakarma, married to the son, who, unable to endure the fervors of her lord, gave him her Shaya, shadow image and astral body, while she herself repaired to the jungle to perform religious devotions or tapas. The son, supposing the Shaya to be his wife, begat by her children, like Adam with Lilith, an etherical shadow, also as in the legend through an actual living female monster millions of years ago. But perhaps this instance proves little except the exuberant fancy of the Puranic authors. We have another proof ready. If the materialist forms, which are sometimes seen oozing out of the bodies of certain mediums, could, instead of vanishing, be fixed and made solid, the creation of the first race would become quite comprehensible. This kind of procreation cannot fail to be suggestive to the student. Neither the mystery nor the impossibility of such a mode is certainly any greater, while it is far more comprehensible to the mind of the true metaphysical thinker than the mystery of the conception of the foetus, its gestation and birth as a child as we now know it. They're talking about ectoplasm, and the Curtis books goes into and shows actual proof of ectoplasm in their pictures. And I'm sorry, you can't, unless you are serious with Photoshop, it is very hard to even try to reproduce something from that long ago in the early 1900s. Just saying, kind of hard. Now, to the curious and little understood collaboration in the Puranas about the sweat-born, Kandu is a sage and a yogi, eminent in holy wisdom and pious austerities, which finally awaken the jealousy of the gods, who are represented in the Hindu scriptures as being in never-ending strife with the aesthetics. Indra, the king of the gods, finally sends one of his female aspirants, I don't know how to say that, to tempt the sage. This is no worse than Jehovah sending Sarah, Abraham's wife, to tempt Pharaoh. But in truth, it is those gods and God who are ever trying to disturb aesthetics and thus make them lose the fruit of their austerities, who ought to be regarded as tempting demons, instead of applying the term to the Rudras and Kumaras and Asuras, those whose great sanctity and chastity seem a standing reproach to the Uranic god of the pantheon. But it is the reverse that we find in all the Puranic allegories, and not without good esoteric reason. The king of the gods, or Indra, sends a beautiful Asperius nymph named Pamlaka, maybe, to seduce Kandu and disturb his penance. She succeeds in her unholy purpose, and 907 years, 6 months, and 3 days spent in her company seemed to the sage as one day. When the psychological or hypnotic state ends, the Muni curses bitterly the creature who seduced him, thus disturbing his devotions. Depart, begone, he cries, vile bundle of illusions, and Pramlak, terrified, flies away, wiping the perspiration from her body with the leaves of the trees. As she passes through the air, she went from the tree to tree, and as with the dusky shoots that crowned their summits, she dried her limbs. The child she had conceived by the rishi came forth from the pores of her skin in drops of perspiration. The trees received the living dew, and the winds collected them into one mass. This, said Sama, the moon, I matured by my rays, and gradually it increased in size till the exhalation that had rested on the treetops became the lovely girl named Marisha. And now Kandu stands here for the first race. He is the son of the Pitras, hence one devoid of mind, which is hinted at by his being unable to discern a period of nearly 1,000 years from one day. Therefore, he is shown to be so easily deluded and blinded. Here is a variant of the allegory in Genesis of Adam born an image of clay into which the Lord God breathes the breath of life, but not of intellect and discrimination, which are developed only after he hath tasted of the fruit of the tree of knowledge. In other words, when he was acquired the first development of mind and had implanted in him manas, whose terrestrial aspect is of the earthy, though its highest faculties connect it with the spirit and the divine soul. Pamlaka is the Hindu Lilith of the Aryan Adam, and Marisha, the daughter born of the perspiration from her pores of the sweat born, and stands as a symbol for the second race of mankind. As remarked in the footnote, Verd Supra, it is not Indra who now figures in the Puranas, but Kamdeva, the god of love and desire, who sends Padmalak, however you say her name, on earth. Logic, besides the esoteric doctrine, shows that it must be so, for Kama is the king and lord of the Aras, of whom Pramlak is one, and therefore when Kandru is cursing her, exclaims, "Thou hast performest the office assigned by the monarch of the gods, go." He must mean by the monarch Kama and not Indra, to whom the Asparas are not subservient, for Kama, again, is the Rig Veda, the personification of that feeling which leads and propels to creation. He was the first moment that stirred the one after its manifestation from purely abstract principle to create. Desire first arose in it, which was the primal germ of mind, and which sages searching with their intellect have discovered to be the bond which connects entity with non-entity. A hymn in the, I hate all these italics, Atharva Veda exalts Kama into a supreme god and creator and says, Kama was born the first. Him neither gods nor fathers, Pitra, nor man have equaled. The Atharva Veda, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that properly either, identifies him with Agni, but makes him superior to that god. The, don't know how to say this word, Brahmana, makes him allegorically the son of Dharma, moral religious duty, piety, and justice, and of Sarda, faith. Elsewhere, Kama is born from the heart of Brahma. Therefore, he is Atma Bu, self-existent, and Aja, the unborn. He's sending Pramlaka has a deep philosophical meaning. Sent by Indra, the narrative has none. As Eros was connected in early Greek mythology with the world's creation and only afterwards became the sexual Cupid, so was Kama in his original Vedic character. Harivansa, making him a son of Lakshmi, who is Venus. The allegory, as said, shows the psychic element developing the physiological before the birth of the Daksha, the progenitor of real physical men, made to be born from Marasha, and before whose time living beings and men were procreated by the will, by sight, by touch, by yoga, as will be shown. This then is the allegory built on the mode of procreation of the second or the sweat-born, the same for the third race in its final development. Marasha, through the exhortations of Soma, the moon, is taken to wife by the the production of the mind-born, sons of Brahma also, from whom they beget the patriarch Daksha, a son of Brahma, also in a former Kapila or life explained, and add the Puranas in order to mislead, yet speaking the truth. The early third race then is formed from drops of sweat, which after many a transformation grow into human bodies. This is not more difficult to imagine or realize than the growth of the fetus from an imperceivable germ, which fetus develops into a child and then into a strong, heavy man. But this race again changes its mode of procreation according to the commentaries. It is said to have emanated as a vis formative, which changed the drops of perspiration into greater drops, which grew, expanded, and became ovid bodies, huge eggs. And these the human fetus gestated for several years. In the Puranas, Marisha, the daughter of Kandu, the sage, becomes the wife of this P word, and the mother of Daksha. Now Daksha is the father of the first human-like progenitor, having been born in the way. He is mentioned later on. The evolution of man, the microcosm, is analogous to that of the universe, the macrocosm. His evolution stands between that of the latter and that of the animal, for which man is his turn, is the macrocosm. Then the race becomes the androgyny or hermaphrodite. The process of men bearing explains, perhaps, why Aristophanes describes the nature of the old race as androgynous, the form of every individual being rounded, having the back and sides as in a circle, whose manner of running was circular, terrible in the force and strength, and the prodigious ambition, therefore to make them weaker. Zeus divided them in the third root race into two, and Apollo the sun, under his direction, closed up the skin. The Madagascans, the island belonged to Lemuria, have a tradition about the first man who lived at first without eating, and having indulged in food, a swelling appeared in his legs. This bursting then emerged from it a female who became the mother of the race. Truly, we have our sciences of heterogeneous and parthenogeneous, showing that the field is yet opened. The polyps produce their offspring from themselves, like the buds and ramifications of a tree. Why not the primitive human polyp? The very interesting polyp, starting what I can't, passes alternatively from germination into the sex method of reproduction. Curiously enough, it grows merely as a polyp on a stalk. It produces gemmules, which ultimately develop into a sea nettle or medusa. The medusa is utterly dissimilar to its parent organism, the stardium. Fucking no, nor do I care. It also reproduces itself differently by sexual method and from the resulting eggs that whatever once more put in appearance. This striking fact assist many to understand that a form may be evolved, as in the sexual Lemurians from hermaphrodite parentage, quite unlike the immediate progenitors. It is moreover unquestionable that in the case of human incarnations, the awe of karma, racial or individual, overrides the subordinate tendencies of heredity, its servant. The meaning of the last sentence in the above quoted commentary on stanza 27, namely, that the fourth race was the children of Padma-Pani, may find its explanation in a certain letter from the inspirer of esoteric Buddhism. Quoted on page 68, the majority of mankind belongs to the seventh sub-race of the fourth root race, the above-mentioned Chinamen, and their offshoots and branchlets. Malayans, Mongolians, Tibetans, Hungarians, Finns, and even the Esquimaux are all remnants of the last offshoot. Padma Pani, and a very long A name in Sanskrit, is in Tibetan Shenrizi. Now, that very long A name is the greatest logos in the higher aspect in the divine regions. But in the manifested planes, he is like Daksha, the progenitor in a spiritual sense of men. Padapani, very long A name, is called esoterically Buddhist, however you say it, or Daihan Kohan. The powerful and all-seeing. He is considered now as the greatest protector of Asia in general and of Tibet in particular. In order to guide the Tibetans and Lamas in holiness and preserve the great Arhats in the world, this heavenly being is credited with manifesting himself from age to age in human form. A popular legend has it that whenever faith begins to die out in the world, Padma Pani, Chenrezi, the lotus bearer, emits a brilliant ray of light and forthwith incarnates himself in one of the two great lamas, the Dali and the Teshu lamas. Finally, it is believed that he will incarnate as the most perfect Buddha in Tibet instead of in India, where his predecessors, the great rishis and manas, had appeared in the beginning of our race, but now appear no longer. Even the exoteric appearance of Dhyani Shenrezi is suggestive of the esoteric teaching. He is evidently, like Daksha, the synthesis of all the preceding race and the progenitor of all the human races after the third, the first complete one, and thus is represented as the culmination of the four primeval races in his 11-face form. It is a column built in 4 rows, each series having 3 faces or heads are different complexions. The 3 faces for each race being typical of its 3 fundamental physiological transformations. The first is white, moon-colored. The second is yellow. The third, red-brown. The fourth, in which are only 2 faces. The third face being left a blank, a reference to the untimely end of the Atlanteans in brown-black. Padma Pani, Daksha, is seated on the column and forms the apex. In this reference, compared stanza 39. The Daihan Kohan is represented with 4 arms, another allusion to the 4 races. For while 2 are folded, the third hand holds a lotus. Padma Pani, the lotus bearer, the flower symbolizing generation, and the fourth holds a serpent, emblem of the wisdom and his power. On his neck is a rosary, and on his head the sign of water, looks like Aquarius, matter, deluge, which on his brow rests the third eye, Siva's eye, that of spiritual insight. His name is protector of Tibet, savior of humanity. On other occasions, when he has only 2 arms, he is Chenrezi, the Dhyani, and the Bodhisattva, Shakna Padma Podkapo, I'm totally butchering it. He who holds a lotus. His other name is Chantong. He of 1,000 eyes, when he is endowed with 1,000 arms and hands, on the palm of each of which is represented an eye of wisdom. These arms radiating from his body like a forest of rays. Another of his name is Lokapati in Sanskrit, Lord of the World, in Jigten Gonpo, Tibetan, protector and savior against evil of any kind. Padma Pani, however, is a lotus bearer, symbolically only for the profane. Esoterically, it means the supporter of the Kaplas, the last of which the present Maha Kapla is called Padma and represents one half of the life of Brahma. Though a minor Kapla, it is called Maha, great, because it comprises the age in which Brahma sprang from a lotus. Theoretically, the Kaplas are infinite, but practically they are divided and subdivided in space and time, each division down to the smallest having its own Dhyani as patron or regent. Padma Pani becomes in China, in his female aspect, Kuai Yin, whom assumes any form of pleasure in order to save mankind. The knowledge of the astrological aspect of the constellation on the representative birthdays of these Dhyanis and the Abba Ami Tufo of China include on the 19th day of the second month, on the 17th day of the 11th month, and on the 7th day of the third month, gives the occultists the greatest faculties for performing what are called magic feats. The future of an individual is seen, with all its coming events marshaled in order in a magic mirror placed under the ray of certain constellations, but beware of the reverse of the metal, sorcery. And that concludes stanza 7. Next is 8, the evolution of the animal mammalians and the first fall. And I like how she definitely is on my page, that we fell into material form. We didn't fall like in for an evil sin or evilness. We fell into duality. So there's good and evil. And I do apologize for the I'm having who knows how many uploads, downloads, and streams, wave bang lengths, buzzing my brain. Love it. But I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within. Be the shoulder, be the lighthouse, seed your truths. I hope to see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to, if you're interested in said pyramid, I have a raffle going on, $5 for an entry. You could check that out on my community page if you're interested. There are channel memberships to help me keep feeding myself and keeping the lights on in this channel going, because bills are bills and my job doesn't pay them. And check out the community tab. I'm just don't know on the time, but Thursday, gonna try to hit before We Not Me, to get a paint and sip or a paint and craft in, and members, your stuff is also private and will be incoming. And if anybody's interested in doing those things via a Zoom, just to hang out with me, please let me know. I'm more than happy to accommodate such things. I want to wish everybody happy Yule, happy Festivus, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, happy holidays. Please be safe, be seen. Many blessings and humble hellos to everybody. I hope that we all manifest and go within so that we can get off of this banana boat and have a better and blessed life. So until the next one, guys, thank you for your support, and thank you to everybody who likes, shares, and subscribes. You guys rock, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.